Okay, but look at this. Isn't it the cutest thing ever? I've got teddy bear earrings. Well, hello there, welcome back. Today is a very fun video for me. This is gonna be the first time I actually do the Mid-Year Book Freakout tag. I'm so excited. I think the funny thing about doing this for the first time is that it kind of feels like I'm officially part of a club. I've been doing this for 2 months now, I think. And it's been just so much fun, you know. I really love talking to you guys and getting to know you guys and, you know, talking about books. And yeah, I guess I didn't think I would ever actually work up the courage to start this channel, and it just feels so good, you know, to be here and to meet new people and to talk about books and find people who love books and who read the same books as I do. This is so very exciting. But before we begin, I just want to remind you that I will be leaving in the description down below links to a master list of anti-racist resources and resources to the Black Lives Matter movement. And it includes like places you can donate, petitions you can sign, business owned by Black people, books written by Black people, and it's a whole lot of things. I highly recommend checking it out. There's also going to be a card of issues around the world, so you can click it and just read about issues going on around the world. Wow, such a way with words. There's also going to be a Twitter thread that includes some other issues that are going on around the world that are not in the card. Links to a couple of petitions you can sign regarding the deaths of Black Brazilian people by Brazilian police, and a petition you can sign to help the Yanomami people, who are a tribe of indigenous Brazilians. I got my notes. Without further ado, let's just get into the tag. The first question is, what is the best book you've read this year so far? And my answer just has to be We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. This book, it's just so fucking good. This is a Arabian-inspired fantasy that takes place in a fictional land called Arabia, and in this land, magic was banished years ago. We follow two main characters, Nasir and Zafira. Zafira is a huntress, and Nasir is the son of the Sultan, but also an assassin. And they both are sent in different quests for the same object. And this object can basically bring magic back. I love everything about this book. Everything. I love the world building, the magic, the writing, the characters, the romance. The romance is this very slow burn, enemies to lovers type of scenario, and Nasir is sent there in this quest not only to retrieve this magical object, but also to kill Zafira. We just love a romance that begins with one of the characters having to kill the other. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? The only sequel I've read this year was The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, and even then I would not say it was the best one. This is the last book in the Raven Cycle series, and it's not that I hated it, because I didn't. There were lots of elements in this book that I actually really loved. There was some plot twists, I guess you could say, of the series that I really enjoyed. But it was just so disappointing, and so many things are solved in these half-assed days, you know? I don't know. It was very disappointing, and there were things in the story and some decisions the author made that I actually really didn't like. So question number 3 is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to? There are so many. I think my top 5 would be Bonds of Brass by Emily Strutsky, The Henna Wars by Adiba Jagida, Felix Ever After by Kirsten Calendar. What else? Oh, A Song of Raids and Ruin by Rosanna Brown, for sure. I think this might be my top 1. And the only one that I have physically, it's The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins. I know, I haven't read it yet. I'm late to the party, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, I promise you. Question number 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And again, there are so many. But I think there's 6 that are like my most anticipated. And those are Cinderella's Dead by Colin Bayron, Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis, Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, Crown Chasers by Rebecca Coffin-Duffer, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, and it's not Fury Born, Legend Born by Tracy Dion. Number 5 is biggest disappointment of the year. That word is very tricky. Disappointment. That will have to go to Credence by Penelope Douglas. No doubt. I have an entire rant video on this book. I'll link it somewhere in case you want to watch it, but like, oh my god, so disappointing. But I feel like that's too easy an answer, to be quite honest with you, so... Oh, another disappointing one was Sweet Tooth by Ian McEwan. This book was marketed as a spy thriller, but it's not thrilling at all, and there's no spy work involved. The main character works at MI5, but she doesn't do any spying. She's not a spy. I don't understand. Other than that, the book is just very pretentious, and it just keeps pounding you over the head with how smart it thinks it is, and I don't vibe with that. Also, all the characters were shit. So, this book was actually the oldest book I've had in my physical TBR. By oldest, I mean like it's the one I've had for the longest time, and so disappointing. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and I actually have 3 answers for this one. The first one is 3 by Hannah Moskowitz. I read this for the first video in the Quest for the Best series on my channel. I will link it somewhere in case you want to watch it. This was so good. I didn't expect to actually like this book as much. I thought I would just enjoy it, but I ended up actually loving it. This is a YA novel that follows Taylor, who is this girl who just recently moved cities with her mother in order to live with her mother's fiancé. And she fell in love, I guess I could say. She had a crush on this guy that she found out was already in a relationship. But it's a polyamorous relationship. So it's all about Taylor being in this polyamorous relationship and learning to navigate this new phases of her life, both in a relationship and, you know, being in a different city and living with her mother's fiancé. It's so good. This is such a good book. I can't stress this enough. My second answer for this question is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Again, I thought I would like this book, but I didn't expect to love it. This is so good. This is a romance that follows Jordan. She just recently moved into her boyfriend's father's house alongside her boyfriend, and it's about her falling in love with her boyfriend's father. It sounds a lot more taboo than it actually is, I swear. There is no cheating involved between the main couple, so if that's something that you don't like to read about, this is safe. But the smut that Penelope Douglas writes, I have no words. I mean, honestly, I have no words. This woman has such a way with sex scenes. It's very good. And the last answer I have for this question is actually Abroad by Liz Jacobs. This is so cute. This is such a cute book. I just recently read this. I think it was the first or second book I read in June. 5 stars. Easily 5 stars. This follows Nick, who is a Jewish Russian immigrant in America, and he's gay and closeted. And it also follows Dex, who is a black queer guy living in London. And the book actually starts with Nick moving to London to study British history in college, and just goes from there. This was such a cute book and so slow burn as well, you know. Nothing happens until the very end of the book. But it was very surprising because I thought only Nick and Dex were the main characters, but we actually have another main character, Izzy, and Izzy is just finding out, you know, as an adult that she is actually bisexual, and her story is so nice, because I think people have this idea that most people know their sexualities from a young age, and that is not true at all. I mean, take it from me. I related to both Izzy and Nick's journey, I guess you could say, with their sexuality so much, so fucking much. For different reasons, obviously, but yeah, I related to them a lot. And other than that, the book is just very well written. It's very cute. It's very wholesome, and I just love all these characters so much. Number 7 is favorite new author, and I don't think I have one, because like I don't feel comfortable saying that someone is my favorite author unless I've read more than a book by them. And no, I don't have one. I will say that one author that I'm very curious and very excited to read more books by is Claudia Gray. I read, what is it called? 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray this year. One of the first books I've read during the year. And I really liked it. I was very interested. There's so many interesting concepts in this book, and the characters were very nice as well. So I am looking forward to reading more books by Claudia Gray. I actually own more books by her, so I'll probably pick them up soon enough. Another author that I'm really interested in looking forward to pick up more books by is Nnedi Okorafor. She's the author of Binti, and I really loved Binti. Really loved it. It was very interesting, such an interesting read. I loved the characters in this one. I loved the conflict in this one. And, you know, everything about this book. It's such a short book. It's a novella, and it's less than 100 pages long. But it's so fucking interesting. So yeah, Claudia Gray and Nnedi Okorafor are definitely a couple of authors that I'm really looking forward to reading more. Number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I don't think I've had a fictional crush ever since I was a teenager. This is not me shading anyone, by the way. It's nothing wrong with having a fictional crush. I think I just ship characters way too much for having a fictional crush to be a possibility for me. I will say that if Michael from The Kiss Quotient was a real guy, I would tap that. He's such a sweetheart, but he's also very charming and very mysterious, and he's very good in bed, which, you know. Oh my god, and Altair from We Hunt a Flame. I just love putting a cocky bastard in its place. Number 9 is newest favorite character, and I actually have a few answers for this one. So, Josie and Theo from 3 by Hannah Moskowitz. Josie is just... she could step on me and I would thank her. And Theo is Brazilian and is also a great guy, so like, I love them. I love them with my whole heart. Nazir and Altair from We Hunt a Flame. Nazir is this very like broody, tormented hero who thinks he's a monster and has actually done very monstrous things, but also has a consciousness? I don't know what the word is in English. You get me. Has one of those, and he has a big heart underneath it all, and he's actively trying to fight his emotions all the time, because if he actually allows himself to feel things, then he will not be able to carry on being an assassin for his father, who is very abusive dickhead. And Altair, smart mouth, cocky bastard, making fun of everything, making a joke out of everything, but also huge heart and a very mysterious and interesting backstory. And he's also just a fucking great guy. I love him so much. I would die for him. And Nick from Heartstopper, because I want to protect him so much. I want to protect him and let nothing bad ever touch him. I love him so much. And also kind of a relatable character for me. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and surprisingly I haven't cried a lot with books this year. This is very unusual for me because I'm a huge baby. I love crying while reading books, and I usually do. I cried in the ending of The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. So that's that. And I also shed a few tears at the end of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, but I think that was it, to be honest. Number 11 is a book that made you happy, and for that I'll have to go with Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. I was just giddy throughout this whole book. giddy. I felt like a teenager again. I mean that in the best way possible. This was just such a cute and wholesome read, and Charlie and Nick are just amazing characters, and I just want to protect them. So, number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year, and I have no words to describe how fucking gorgeous are these book covers. Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, collector's edition. Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo, also collector's edition. They are so beautiful. And yes, I bought the collector's edition for books that I've never read. I just have a great feeling about these, okay? So don't judge me. I just think I'll love both. So I went ahead and bought the prettiest covers. I don't want to be stuck with an ugly cover if I end up loving them. And I think I will. So. And finally, number 13 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So many. So many. I'm trying to be good to myself and, not set any firm goals, but there are a few books that I actually want to read by the end of the year. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. What else? I also want to read the Grisha trilogy this year and A Song of Race and Ruin. And I would really, really, really like if I managed to get to at least one of N.K. Jemisin's and Kay Youngcrum's and Katrina Jackson's books. So that's a lot, but I hope I can do it. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you feel like it. And as always, I'll see you around.